thrill. It's kind of a strange experience to come here, and really a thrilling experience, a unique one for a writer, to be sitting at lunch with a lot of the characters of one's book. I don't know of any writers who really have that opportunity. I mean, if Shakespeare had a chance to sit around with his characters, this is kind of well, certainly no Shakespeare, but you are some interesting characters. What are you laughing at? I didn't prepare anything. I don't know what you guys would like to hear from me, but I can say individually, you probably all know, you certainly know your own histories better than I know any one of your experiences. But the thing I brought to the table, I guess, is kind of a critical distance. I could look at this history, with a bird's eye view, and try to put it together into something that was readable, hopefully fun to read. And what I came out of it with was this remarkable story that you all created. I guess mostly unwittingly, but it, with your ball play and your commitment to the team, and commitment to professional baseball in Jamestown, which is just, every time I go back over my old drafts, and working right now really on those last 2 paragraphs of the book, which I hope is going to kind of be a key that sort of unlocks the whole book, and to put everything into focus, maybe on a camera where you just focus everything, is this this commitment that was here since really from 1941 on to professional baseball, and it kind of give me the chills when I'm going over these stories, because none of it would have been possible. We wouldn't be sitting here today. I wouldn't have just finished my first book at 23 years old, and there wouldn't be this excitement over professional baseball had there not been that deeper commitment. I mean, the excitement and the fans at the ballpark and the cheering and the rah-rah and all that stuff is all gravy when you look at the deeper commitment that most recently Russ Dietrich and all of you to some extent have shown in trying to keep this team in town. And it's remarkable when you compare it to other towns and other small cities, that other major cities that can't keep a team. The commitment just isn't there. It was a fascinating story. Kind of one of the many subplots of the book is to see the fate of Niagara Falls over the past 50 years. I don't know how many of you remember or know, in 1940, the team, the Niagara Falls Club, was lured here to Allen Park and played their 1940 season in Jamestown, and that was really the beginning of the kind of, 1941 was the first, was when College Stadium was built, when Municipal Stadium was built. And that team came here in 1940 because the support wasn't there in Niagara Falls, and the support was here in 1941 with Ernest Kessler and Judge Barger, who obviously I only know by name, but these are my characters. And the commitment that they showed just wasn't in Niagara Falls. It wasn't in, and not to belabor one city, but it's a good parallel to see what Niagara Falls couldn't summon the energy that it takes to keep a team in town, because it's not an easy business to run, as a lot of you sitting here know very well. It's a tough one, and you have to be very committed to doing it. In a lot of ways, it's like writing. You don't expect to get rich on it, but the rewards are worth it when you do it right, and you give your whole self to it. And then again in 1993, when Niagara Falls lost their team again to Jamestown, and it's a neat parallel that this town has had that commitment. Albeit, every once in a while there were a couple of breaks, there were a couple of spots where there just wasn't the money to do it, or there was a little lull for whatever reasons, historical reasons. Just couldn't keep it in town. But still, when you look at the broad picture over the past 50, 55 years, that commitment's been here, and it's just not in a lot of towns. It's not in the town I was born in. It's not in Hillsdale, New Jersey, and it's not in thousands of other towns around the country, but it's here in Jamestown. It's something special that you have, and I've gotten to appreciate vicariously. But never I'll never have the appreciation that you have. I'll never be able to, as much as I can be invested in this, and it was 3 years of my life that I've devoted to writing this book and to do it right. But still, you have that unique experience. You have that experience that you lived it, and you were here throughout it. And hopefully I can enhance that experience by putting some perspective on it. And I guess that was the goal from the beginning, was to put some perspective on it and to see that this is a truly remarkable story that came out of the 50 years.
David, the title of your book is tentatively what?
Across the Seams.
And the theory behind it is that there are some seams that were woven.
It works in a couple of different ways, I think. I mean, in one way, the seam that stitches together the ball, that is Jamestown baseball, was that commitment, was the dedication to professional baseball in Jamestown. And in some ways, those are the red stitches that go throughout the ball. I guess that's probably the root of the metaphor, and it works in a lot. I guess it works in a lot of different ways, because also the way a baseball is constructed. I mean, there's the seams are interwoven, and there's the way the yarn is wound. That's what the story is. I mean, there's this. It's overused, but this web of baseball. There's something about baseball, not to mention something about a small city, that lends itself to stories which have characters that come in and out and reappear in different places. You look at someone like Mr. Parkhurst, who came in as a ball player, came back as a ball player, back as an umpire, then back as a fan. I mean, that is a tremendous story. And I know when you're here and you're seeing, the same faces all the time at the ballpark, you don't necessarily see the forest for the trees. But that's my job. I'm here to see the forest for the trees. That is a remarkable story. And there's dozens like that in the book. And I hope you enjoy reading it. But those are the stories that I think really made it. I mean, the story it's clearly about people. Johnny Newman hit 30 home runs in 1942. That's interesting because it's in the context of the story. The fact that he hit 30 home runs itself it doesn't mean anything to someone. It doesn't really even mean anything to someone that was here, unless it's in the context of the larger story. And that's what putting this together can hopefully do, is put it in its context and see why that is so tremendous. I mean, if John Newman came here, slugged 30 home runs, left, and never returned, and never to be heard from again, he'd be a footnote. Instead, he's a main character, because he stayed, and because he meant so much to the town, and as a ball player and as a citizen. So it's those kind of stories that I think brought about the title, Across the Seams, because across the seams of time, there is a lot of interweaving of characters and places and events that make for at times an emotional story, because these are lives of people who really invested themselves in baseball, and in particular in Jamestown.